Hello students, I welcome you all to Educrat IAS Academy's initiative Edu-Samiksha, wherein we will be discussing some news with respect to UPSC prelims and mains perspective for the date 26th September 2025. So let us start with our discussion. So the first topic that we're going to take up is defamation in India. अभी हाल ही में क्या हुआ कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के एक जज ने हाईलाइट किया कि देयर शुड बी अ नीड टू डीक्रिमिनलाइज द डिफेमेशन. नाउ ये क्यों किया गया? क्योंकि what he said that some politicians and private individuals are basically misusing the defamation to settle their personal score. Now this debate underscores the tension between the freedom of speech and protection of reputation in India. अभी आगे बढ़ने से पहले let us understand the meaning of defamation. Now, when does this defamation occurs? So defamation occurs when someone speaks, writes, publishes or makes signs about a person or entity when with the intention to harm their reputation. So it may concern living individuals, companies, associations, groups and as well as deceased individuals. All right. Now, what all are the types of defamation? So there are two types of defamation. So first one is libel and the second one is slander. So under libel, it is a permanent defamation. और ये कब होता है? जब कोई person in writing, in publishes images or works to harm the reputation. But in case of slander defamation, it is basically temporary and it occurs when someone speaks about a person with the intent to defame their personality. अब कोर्ट कैसे इनके ऊपर जजमेंट लेता है? कोर्ट्स जजमेंट इज बेसिकली सब्जेक्टिव एंड दे लुक इनटू द प्रूफ ऑफ इंटेंट एंड कॉन्टेक्स्ट. ऑलराइट, नाउ so let us see some of the regulation of defamation in India. So first one is legal framework. अब legal framework के अंडर भारतीय न्याय संहिता के अंडर सेक्शंस 499 एंड 500 वो क्या डिफाइन करता है? इट डिफाइंस द डिफेमेशन एंड इट आल्सो प्रिस्क्राइब्स द पनिशमेंट. इट कैन बी क्रिमिनल और सिविल एंड इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द सीवियरिटी. ऑलराइट, अब अगर हम क्रिमिनल डिफेमेशन की बात करें, सो इट बेसिकली सर्व्स एज अ स्ट्रॉन्गर डिटरेंट देन सिविल पेनल्टीज. राइट, देन it protects the public interest and vulnerable groups from discrimination or hate speeches, and also it requires strong proof and reasonable doubt. All right, now what are the judicial precedents? So in Subramaniam Swamy versus Union of India case in 2016, what happened that court upheld criminal defamation's constitutional validity, and it is coming under Article 21, which is right to life, and also Article 19(2). Now, the criminal defamation is basically considered as a reasonable restrictions on freedom of speech, which is under Article 92. अब Article 92 क्या कहता है? Article 92 is basically permitting the state to impose a reasonable restrictions. इसके ऊपर? Free speech के ऊपर, on the basis of public order, decency, morality, contempt of court, defamation and security of the state. All right, so our main focus in this topic is basically on defamation, जो कि under Article 19 clause 2 के अंदर आता है. All right, now if we talk about the why decriminalization is being considered, so ये क्यों consider किया गया? Because it is basically to prevent misuse. क्यों? क्योंकि क्रिमिनल डिफेमेशन इज ऑफन मिसयूज्ड बाय पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स और इंडिविजुअल टू सेटल देयर पर्सनल स्कोर्स, जो कि हमने पहले ही डिस्कस किया है. नाउ इट इज आल्सो एक्टिंग अगेंस्ट प्रोटेक्ट, इट इज आल्सो टू प्रमोट द फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. अब ये क्रिमिनल लायबिलिटी क्या करता है? इट बेसिकली अंडरमाइंस द डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ चिलिंग इफेक्ट. क्योंकि इसके डर से कोई जर्नलिस्ट, एक्टिविस्ट या फिर सिटीजन अपने एक्सप्रेशन को बयान नहीं कर पाएंगे. सो दैट इज व्हाई इट इज बेसिकली promoting the doctrine of chilling effect. Now, in the case of civil remedies are basically sufficient and reputation can be safeguarded via civil defamation suits without criminal penalties. जैसे in many democracies, जैसे यूएसए में क्या होता है कि they treat defamation under civil matter, and also the imprisonment for reputational harm is disproportionate. Now, in terms of judicial economy, criminal cases add to the already large कोर्ट बैकलॉग. अब ये कोर्ट बैकलॉग जैसे हमने पहले पिछले वीडियोस में हमने डिस्कस किया था कि कोर्ट इज बेसिकली ओवरबर्डन्ड विथ लॉट ऑफ केसेस. नाउ this defamation, criminalizing the defamation case is also adding up to the burden. But if we put the defamation into civil categories, then what will happen? This will be quicker and it will be less burdensome for the court. All right. Now, what all are the measures that needs to be taken to strengthen the defamation laws while protecting the free speech? So the first measure that should be taken is decriminalizing the private defamation. अब इससे क्या होगा? This will limit the criminal cases to public interest and national security, and this in turn will shift the private dispute to civil courts. All right. Next thing that we can take up is strengthening the civil remedies. Now, how can we strengthen the civil remedies? By fast track courts, clear compensation, and promote ADR for quick resolution. Apart from this, we need to define the standards. We need to differentiate between the fair criticism and satire, irony from malicious defamation, and on the ground of Subramaniam Swamy case that we have seen in 2016. Now, apart from this, we also need to safeguard the press freedom so that the doctrine of chilling effect should be undermined. We can also prevent slap suits. Now, what is this slap suit? Slap is basically strategic lawsuit against public participation. So, slap is basically strategic lawsuit against public participation. Okay, so we can prevent the slap suit, and this will in turn help to legislate against misuse by powerful individuals or corporations. Apart from this, we can also aware the people and media literacy by educating the citizens on responsible speech and civil remedies. All right. Now let us see some of the examples with respect to the global context. अभी यूनाइटेड स्टेट में जैसे हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था कि डिफेमेशन इज अंडर सिविल मैटर, बट पब्लिक फिगर मस्ट प्रूव द एक्चुअल मलाइज, राइट? इन यूके में क्या हुआ कि recent reforms reduce the burdensome criminal defamation and it is basically focusing on civil remedies. All right. Now, how can we balance the free speech and reputation? Defamation in India is basically sits at the intersection of two fundamental rights. अब two fundamental rights कौन से, जैसे कि हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था, आर्टिकल 19 एंड आर्टिकल 21. अब आर्टिकल 19 क्या कह रहा है? अंडर आर्टिकल 19(1)(a) it is basically freedom of speech, whereas article 21 it is the right to reputation. Now, any reform in this respect must balance the silencing legitimate criticism and also it should protect the dignity and public interest. All right. So, defamation basically balances the free speech and reputation. Now, decriminalizing the private cases, it will strengthen the civil remedies and also protect the press freedom. With this, what we can ensure? We can ensure free and democratic reforms. All right. With this, let us see one mains question. So the question says, criminal defamation in India poses challenges to freedom of speech and press. Examine the need to decriminalize defamation while ensuring protection of reputation. Discuss measures to strike a balance between free expression and dignity. So you can attempt this question and write the answer framework in the comment box. Now let us move towards the next topic for the day. So the second topic that we're going to take up is India's tea industry. Now, India's tea industry, अभी चाय चाय लगभग मैक्सिमम लोगों की फेवरेट है। अगर हम किसी भी शहर में, किसी भी राज्य में, किसी भी गली नुक्कड़ में जाएंगे तो चाय की टपरियां या फिर चाय की दुकानें बहुत मिलेंगी। इवन पीपल आर अर्निंग मिलियंस फ्रॉम द टी बिजनेस। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल एमबीए चाय वाला, राइट? सो ही इज अ बिजनेसमैन एंड ही इज अर्निंग मिलियंस फ्रॉम चाय। अब चाय हमारे देश में इतनी फेमस है तो ये हम मिस इंटरप्रेट कर लेते हैं कि चाय इज बेसिकली ओरिजिनेटेड फ्रॉम इंडिया, बट नो, चाय हैज ब्रिटिश एरा origin and it is a British era crop. अभी क्या हो रहा है कि इंडिया हैज द पोटेंशियल टू बिकम ए ग्लोबल टी सुपर पावर। क्यों? बिकॉज वी आर हैविंग स्ट्रॉन्ग प्रोडक्शन, rising exports, and also there is a robust domestic demand with respect to tea. But recently अभी क्या हो रहा है, because of climate change, because of stagnant prices and high input cost, there is a call to shift towards sustainability and to add value addition. All right, now before moving forward, let us see what all are the significance of tea in India. So the first is cultural legacy. Now cultural legacy क्यों? क्योंकि we have already discussed that it is a British era crop and this has now become a part of India's daily life, from chai stalls to Darjeeling brews. Economic role कैसे? Because it is basically a key exporter and also contributing towards the employment of lot of people. All right, in terms of export value, this is having a strong global brands like Darjeeling, Nilgiri and Kangra. So some of the major tea producing states are West Bengal, Assam, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. Apart from this, we are also having tea production in Himachal and Uttaranchal, Odisha, right? So UPSC has already asked a question on tea. So with this respect, tea is a very important topic for us. Now let us move forward. So now let us see India's tea industry, some of the key facts. Okay, with respect to global ranking in production, India is standing at second position after China. With respect to consumption, it is at second position. Global ranking with respect to exports, third after Kenya and China. Domestic consumption की अगर हम बात करें, so 80% of the total output are being consumed. Apart from this, export destination, अब कहाँ पे export होता है? Russia, Iran, UAE, USA, UK, Germany and China, right? The tea types that are being exported includes 96% black tea, also green herbal masala, lemon teas. Now, with respect to the major tea producing regions in India, we've already seen, but let us see in details again. All right. So, the major tea producing states are Assam, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Assam major region कौन से हैं? Assam Valley and Kachar, right? And it is accounting for 55% of the production, and the tea leaves that are being produced are strong, bright, malty. All right. Now, next come to West Bengal. So, major regions in West Bengal include Duars, Terai, Darjeeling, and Darjeeling tea, which is also known as the champagne of tea. It has been GI tagged. All right. Next, Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu में कहाँ पर है? Nilgiri Hills. Nilgiri Hills and the tea that are being produced in Nilgiri Hills are having aromatic, medium-bodied teas. In Kerala, Wayanad and Idukki regions are major tea producing regions, and the features are flavored and organic varieties. Apart from this, there are some other regions that we have already seen, जैसे हिमाचल प्रदेश. अब हिमाचल प्रदेश में कहाँ पर है? कांगड़ा में. Then Tripura, Sikkim, Uttarakhand are also emerging tea hubs. Okay. Now, let us see some facts about tea. Botanical name क्या है? Camellia sinensis. All right. Now, the type is basically evergreen shrub, and it is the world's second most consumed drink after water. Okay, so tea is basically the second most consumed drink after water. Varieties कौन से हैं? First one is Camellia sinensis. This is a Chinese variety and it is having small leaves and cold resistant. And the other varieties is Camellia sinensis Assamica. So Assamica, as the name is suggesting, it is of Assam variety and they are having large leaves and having high yield. Okay. Now, if we talk about the agroclimatic requirements, now this becomes important with respect to prelims perspective. So let us see some of the agroclimatic requirements. So tea is the rain-fed crop. Rain-fed crop and it is highly vulnerable to climate extremes जैसे droughts and floods. Okay. अब अगर हम टेम्परेचर की बात करें तो टेम्परेचर it requires 20 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, sensitive below 10 degrees Celsius and above 35 degrees Celsius. So the temperature should remain between 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. अगर हम रेनफॉल की बात करें so it requires 150 to 300 centimeter and it should be well distributed. Soil की बात करें तो soil has to be slightly acidic, then the pH ranges from 4.5 to 5.5 and it should have loamy and rich in humus. Topography, with respect to topography, this should have undulating land with good drainage, and shade trees, it should require to reduce heat stress and conserve moisture. Now, with respect to institutional framework, so India is having Tea Board of India. Now, UPSC has already asked question on Tea Board of India. So let us see some of the prelims pointers or facts about Tea Board of India. When it was established in 1953 under Tea Act. Okay. Now, ministry, it comes under Commerce and Industry. Headquarter कहाँ पर है? Kolkata. Whereas it is having overseas office जैसे London, Dubai, Moscow. Alright. Function क्या है? It is having the function of financial and technical assistance for cultivation and marketing. It is also responsible for the promotion of Indian tea globally, जैसे India Tea logo, and also it is responsible for giving GI certification and quality control. So these are the functions of Tea Board of India. Now, what all are the challenges that are facing by Indian tea industry? So the first and the major challenge is climate vulnerability. Climate vulnerability जैसे heat waves हो जाता है, floods, it cut Assam's output by 30%. Otherwise, apart from this, erratic monsoons and other climatic conditions are affecting the India's tea industry. Next, it would be supply demand imbalance, because the steady domestic demand, but there has been a stagnant exports that cause oversupply and low margin. Now, because of this, there is a price cost gap. Okay. Now, with respect to India, the input costs up to 9 to 5%, whereas prices are only 4%. And pesticides again bans the raise expenses. Now, there is a global competition with respect to countries like Kenya, China, Sri Lanka and Vietnam. Then small growers distress, and apart from this, there is a low value addition because bulk exports are dominated and the GI and specialty teas are underrated. Okay. Now, what would be the pathways? What would be the strategies to improve the tea industry in India? So the first strategy that we can focus on is value. Okay. So with respect to value, what we can do? We can promote the GI tag. GI, we can promote the GI. Otherwise, we can promote the specialty. Also, we can promote the organic and branded teas for higher export value. Okay. Apart from this, क्या क्या कर सकते हैं? We can do the market diversification. So market diversification जैसे अभी जो currently जिन countries में export हो रहा है, we can expand those countries in Africa, South America and Middle East. Then we also need to give a domestic push. Domestic push जैसे we need to promote RTD, herbal and wellness teas through health campaigns. Then what we can do, we can support the small grower. Okay, small grower जैसे farmer producers organizations that can ensure the fair pricing, direct trade, and also certification training. Apart from this, we can use the best practices from across the world. जैसे Kenya's FFS model. अब FFS model क्या होता है कि free for service model. Okay, so this is basically free for service model. So we can make use of Kenya's FFS model, and also we can strengthen or we can impart the skill development and sustainability training. Then we can also make use of climate smart farming. Climate smart farming जैसे हम लोग शेड ग्रोन टी को एनकरेज कर सकते हैं. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग, एंड ऑल्सो वी कैन वर्क ऑन ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग एंड कार्बन क्रेडिट्स. ऑलराइट, नाउ अब गवर्नमेंट ने क्या क्या इनिशिएटिव्स लिए. सो द फर्स्ट इनिशिएटिव दैट गवर्नमेंट हैज टेकन इज टी डेवलपमेंट एंड प्रमोशन स्कीम. नाउ under tea development and promotion scheme, what government did, government basically upgraded the quality, and also marketing support has been provided. Apart from this, mission organic value chain development. So under this, government has basically promoted the organic tea in Northeast. Then government has given GI protection for Darjeeling tea and Assam Nilgiri as well. Then Plantation Labor Act reform. So what it has done, it has basically improved the housing, healthcare, and worker welfare of the people who are employed in the tea industries. Now what could be this way forward? So first way forward is we need to ensure the quality over quantity, right? Then we need to ensure the inclusive growth. Inclusive growth kaise? By empowering the small tea growers. Apart from this, there has to be a climate resilience strategy, right? Such as adaptive capacity and jobs. Apart from this, we can also work on branding and innovation to capture the niche market of the world. Then we can make use of the digital technology. Digital technology जैसे e-auctions, traceability, and blockchain certification can also be implemented with respect to tea industry in India. Now, India's tea industry is basically a blend in legacy with modern reforms, and the focus should be on quality, climate resilience, and value addition, so that we can move from selling leaves to selling experiences through promotion, branding, wellness, and sustainability. All right. Now, with respect to this, let us see one mains question. So the question says, examine the challenges faced by India's tea industry in the context of climate change, declining productivity, and global competition. Suggest measures to revitalize the sector. So you can attempt this question and write the answer framework in the comment box. With this, let us move on to the next topic for the day. So the third topic that we're going to take up is India's urban blind spot, revisiting census definitions. अभी क्या हुआ, हाल ही में ये न्यूज़ में है कि for 2027 census, India would be using the data and the definitions of 2011 census. All right. अब इसके कारण क्या होगा? Because of this, there can be risk in undercounting urbanization, and this will leave the fast growing settlements unrecognized, and that will in turn affect the governance and the policy making with respect to urban sectors. Okay. Now, अगर हम current urban classification की बात करें with in terms of 2011 census, so these are basically divided into two categories. First one is statutory towns, and the second one is census town. Now let us see what is statutory town. अब statutory town क्या हो? It is basically formally notified by state government, okay, and it is governed by urban local bodies जैसे municipal corporations हो गया, municipal councils हो गया, और नगर पंचायत. Whereas census town की अगर हम बात करें तो census towns, there are some categories to to categorize the census town. So the categories include population, which is greater than 5,000, more than or equal to 75% of the male should engage in non-agricultural activities. Then third one is population density should be greater than or equal to 400 persons per kilometer square. So these three are the criteria for census town. Okay. Now अगर हम करंट सिनेरियो की बात करें, सो ऑफिशियली कितने, ऑफिशियली 31.2% of India's population is in urban, but many census functions as a urban but remain under rural administration. Okay, so there are many cities that are basically functioning as a census town, but those are under rural administration, and this is in turn creating governance gap. Okay, जैसे वेस्ट बंगाल की अगर हम बात करें, सो वेस्ट बंगाल हैज many new census towns but still lag the urban infrastructure. Okay, now with respect to global comparison, अगर हम global comparison की बात करें, so what India is doing, India is basically using 3 strict criteria, but अगर हम बाकी countries की बात करें, so they are limited to 1 or 2 factors, जैसे demographic density और infrastructure. World Bank Agglomerate Index 2010 के अकॉर्डिंग 55.3% of India's population are living in urban like settlements and showing hidden urbanization. Okay, so there is the mismatch. So what World Bank is saying that 55.3% of India's population are living in urban like settlements, but officially कितना है, 31.2%. Okay, now there is one global framework which is known as DAGRBA. Okay, so the full form is degree of urbanization. Okay, so what is this degree of urbanization? So this is basically developed by 6 international organizations and it is endorsed by UN in 2020. Okay, now what it is using, it is basically using satellite imagery and 1 kilometer square population grids to classify the settlements into 7 कैटेगरीज. अब कौन कौन से कैटेगरीज है जस्ट रफली देख लेते हैं, जैसे अर्बन सेंटर्स हो गया, डेंस, सेमी डेंस क्लस्टर्स, पेरी अर्बन एरियाज एंड वेरियस रूरल टाइप्स. ओके, नाउ what all are the advantages of this? So what it is capturing, it is basically capturing the urbanization which is beyond the administrative boundaries, and apart from this it is also helping to monitor the services and guide financial targeting. पर इसके कुछ कुछ लिमिटेशंस है. अब लिमिटेशंस क्या क्या है, दिस में मिसक्लासिफाई लो डेंसिटी एरियाज जैसे क्रॉपलैंड, पेरी अर्बन, फ्रिंजेस, एंड इट आल्सो रिलाइज ऑन हेवीली ऑन एल्गोरिथम्स एंड सैटेलाइट डेटा, जिससे क्या होता है कि अंडर और ओवर डिटेक्शन होने का खतरा बना रहता है. ओके, सो दिस ऑल आर द लिमिटेशंस. नाउ अब इंडिया का जो करंट अर्बन डेफिनेशन है उसमें क्या क्या लिमिटेशंस है. सो फर्स्ट लिमिटेशन इज बाइनरी क्लासिफिकेशन, क्योंकि इंडिया का जो अभी डेफिनेशन है दिस इज बेसिकली ओवरलुकिंग सेमी अर्बन एंड पेरी अर्बन एरियाज. नाउ अगर हम गवर्नेंस गैप की बात करें, सो सेंसस टाउन अंडर रूरल बॉडीज, दीज आर लैकिंग ऑटोनॉमी एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. नेक्स्ट इज रिजिड क्राइटेरिया. क्यों? क्योंकि दिस डेफिनेशन इज इग्नोरिंग women's informal and gig economy work. Apart from this, administrative discrepancy, जैसे काफी सारे towns है, these are under rural governance but seasonal workers are uncounted. Okay, so this is again a administrative discrepancy. Now planning challenges. क्यों? क्योंकि अगर ये misclassification होता है then it affects the services, housing, transport and other facilities that are involved in the urban areas. Okay, now what could be the impact for census 2027? अगर हम इन्हीं definition को अगर हम use करते हैं, so what could be the impact? So the first impact would be there could be outdated definition and this lead to undercount millions. क्यों? क्योंकि true urban population could be 35 to 57%, but अभी हम लोग क्या देख रहे हैं कि it is only 31.2%. Okay, so we can miss a lot of counts and this misclassification can affect the funding, infrastructure, and policy making. And because of this, what will happen? There will be unrecognized and misaligning governance and services. Okay. जैसे अगर कुछ एग्जांपल्स और डेटा जो हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था, बट स्टिल लेट अस हैव अ लुक. इन वेस्ट बंगाल देयर आर हाई नंबर ऑफ सेंसस टाउन. एग्जांपल्स जैसे मेनी अर्बनाइजिंग सेटलमेंट्स रिमेन अंडर रूरल गवर्नेंस एंड अफेक्टिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्लानिंग. इंडिया ओवरऑल की बात करें सो देयर इज अ हिडन अर्बनाइजेशन. क्यों? क्योंकि वर्ल्ड बैंक in 2010 index in 2010 what it said that 55.3% of the population is living in urban like areas, but actually में कितना है? Around 31.2%. Okay, so what could be the way forward or the recommendation? Okay, so the first is we need to update the definition. So this is the first way forward that we can think of. अगर हम लोग update करते हैं, so in which sector we can update? We can update the definition in terms of population density, livelihoods, women's informal work, and seasonal or non-agricultural jobs. Now the census should be on data driven methods. जैसे we can use the framework of Degarba or similar frameworks we can think of. Then the alignment should be with respect to governance, so that we can convert the census town into statutory towns with elected bodies. Then the classification has to be dynamic. जैसे we need to adopt flexible, regular, updated criteria. With respect to policy and planning, what we can do, we can ensure the funds, infrastructure, housing, transport, and civic amenities for new urban areas. So all these points we can think of as a way forward or recommendation. So India's outdated urban definition, it can underscore, so it can undercount a lot of people. So what we need to do, we need to update the definition, we need to update the criteria, and we can take use of framework like DEG-URBA and align governance with reality is vital for effective planning. If this can be ensured, then effective planning and effective governance can also be ensured. Okay. So with this, let us see one mains question. So the question says, India's rigid census definition undercount urbanization, leaving many fast-growing settlements unrecognized. Critically examine the limitations of the current urban classification and suggest measures to capture the true extent of urbanization for better governance and planning. Now let us move towards some prelims pointers. So the first prelims pointer that we're going to take up is HPV, which is human papilloma virus. Now, if we go by the definition, so human papilloma virus is basically a group of more than 200 viruses, out of which more than 40 are sexually transmitted, to cause genital warts, and around 12 is linked to cancers. Okay. अगर हम सर्विकल कैंसर्स की बात करें, सो मोर देन 95% ऑफ द केसेस आर कॉज्ड बाय ह्यूमन पैपिलोमा वायरस. कैसे ट्रांसमिशन होता है? सेक्सुअल कांटेक्ट, स्किन टू स्किन, ऑफन एसिम्प्टोमेटिक, जैसे कोई सिम्टम्स नहीं दिखता. ओके, एंड बॉडी में क्लियर इन्फेक्शन नेचुरली. रिस्क क्या है? परसिस्टेंट इन्फेक्शन कैन लीड टू कैंसर. अगर हम ह्यूमन पैपिलोमा वायरस वैक्सीनेशन की बात करें, सो इट प्रोटेक्ट्स अगेंस्ट HPV इन्फेक्शंस कॉजिंग कैंसर और जेनाइटल वॉर्ट्स, एंड दिस आर मोस्टली इफेक्टिव बिटवीन द एज ऑफ 9 to 26, एंड इट शुड नॉट बी गिवन ड्यूरिंग प्रेगनेंसी, एंड इट इज लेस इफेक्टिव अगर एक बार इन्फेक्शन हो जाता है. ओके, नाउ लेट अस मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर. So the second pointer is about Agni Prime Missile, Agni P. Okay, अभी हाल ही में आप लोगों ने शायद न्यूज़ या फिर सोशल मीडिया में ये खबर सुनी होगी कि इंडिया हैज सक्सेसफुली डेमोन्स्ट्रेटेड द रेल बेस्ड मिसाइल कैपेबिलिटी. ओके, so rail based missile capability with respect to Agni Prime missile. Now let us see some of the pointers which are important for us. So type क्या? This is next generation two-stage solid fuel ballistic missile and it is also nuclear capable. Okay, range कितना है? 1000 to 2000 किलोमीटर. पेलोड हाई, पेलोड क्या कौन से? हाई एक्सप्लोसिव, थर्मोबोरिक और न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड्स. वेट कितना है? 11,000 kg and it combines Agni 4 and Agni 5 technologies. mobility, it is canistered rail and road mobile, rail mobility, rail जैसे हमने अभी हाल ही में टेस्ट किया है. And apart from this it enhances second strike capability. अगर हम strategic significance की बात करें, so India supports no first use nuclear doctrine and the survival against preemptive strikes. Okay. रेल बेस्ड एडवांटेज, नेशन मोबिलिटी वाया 70,000 किलोमीटर रेल नेटवर्क, ये एडवांटेज है. टनल्स प्रोवाइड कंसीलमेंट एंड ऑल्सो चीपर देन SLBM. SLBM, what is the full form of SLBM? Submarine launched ballistic missile. Submarine launched ballistic missile. ग्लोबल कॉन्टेक्स्ट की बात करें, सो अपार्ट फ्रॉम इंडिया, रशिया, यूएसए, चाइना, नॉर्थ कोरिया हैज ऑलरेडी सक्सेसफुली डेमोन्स्ट्रेटेड द रेल बेस्ड मिसाइल कैपेबिलिटी. अग्नि सीरीज की अगर हम बात करते हैं, सो विद रिस्पेक्ट टू अग्नि सीरीज, अग्नि 1, 7, these are some of the features of all the Agni missiles. So Agni 1, this is basically medium range ballistic missile. Agni 2, Agni 3, Agni 2 भी medium range ballistic missile है. Agni 3 is intermediate range ballistic missile. Agni 4, it is having improved capacity. Agni 5 ये ICBM. ICBM means intercontinental ballistic missile. Agni P is 1000 to 2000 kilometer. It is next gen MRBM or IRBM. Okay. Now Agni 6, this is currently under development and it is a potential MIRV. Okay. Now let us see the next pointer for the day. So the third pointer that we're going to take up is nightmare bacteria. अब ये nightmare क्यों है? क्योंकि this basically spreads very easily and these are resistant to genes and causing deadly bloodstream, lung and urinary infections. And क्या होता है कि the treatment options are also very limited with respect to nightmare bacteria and that is why it is called nightmare. अगर हम कुछ features की बात करें, so this is carbapenem resistance enterobacteria से and it includes Klebsiella pneumoniae and E. coli. Okay. Resistance mechanism, this is driven by NDM1 gene which is New Delhi metallobeta lactamase 1 and it produces carbapenemase enzymes and that makes bacteria resistant to last resort antibiotics. Okay. Why nightmare? We have already discussed some of the symptoms that is basically with respect to nightmare bacteria is urinary tract infection. अब इससे क्या होता है कि burning, frequent urination and cloudy urine. Apart from this, bloodstream infection जैसे high fever, rapid heartbeat, low BP हो गया, pneumonia और lung infections जैसे cough, shortness of breath, chest pain. Now globally, why it is so concerned? क्योंकि rapidly spreading antibiotic resistance and it is difficult to treat and mortality is also very high. Okay. Now let us see the next pointer. So the fourth pointer is Mahendragiri Hills. Okay, where it is located? It is located in Gajapati district, Odisha, and it is a part of Eastern Ghat with an elevation of 1501 meter. Status, it has been declared as biodiversity heritage site in 2022 for rich flora and fauna. Tribal communities जैसे Saura और Kond tribes are found in Mahendragiri Hills. It is having a diverse biodiversity. Apart from this, the river is Mahendra Tanaya, which originates from Mahendragiri. Vegetation includes tropical dry and wet deciduous forest. Apart from this, geology की अगर हम बात करें तो granite, charnockite, condylite, veins of chert, chalcedony and quartz are there. अगर cultural significance की बात करें, so Pancha Pandava temples is present over there and this attracts a lot of tourists. Next prelims pointer is Pallikarnai marshland. Now where it is located? It is located in Tamil Nadu near Chennai. Okay, so it is a freshwater and partly saline wetland which is 20 kilometers south of Chennai, Tamil Nadu. And it is acting as a buffer for flood and which is prone Chennai and Chengalpattu districts. Wetlands are outlands की अगर हम बात करें, so it comprises of 65 wetlands and outlets is Okiam, Madavu and Kovalam Creek that falls into Bay of Bengal and which is bordered by Buckingham Canal. International status, it is having a Ramsar site. It is having a status of Ramsar site in India. Fauna, so there are with respect to birds, there are 115 species, mammals 10 species, reptiles 21 species, amphibians 10 species, fish 46 species, mollusks 9, crustaceans 5, butterflies 7. अब threat क्या है? Encroachment, sewage discharge, urban pressure. Recent action क्या लिया गया कि NGT halted construction within 1 kilometer until scientific study is conducted. So that is why it is in news. Now, let us see some of the prelims question. So the first question says, which of the following statements about human papillomavirus is or are correct? HPV is a group of over 200 viruses of which around 70 are sexually transmitted. Persistent HPV infection is responsible for over 95% of cervical cancer cases. HPV vaccination is most effective when administered before infection, ideally between ages 9 to 26. HPV can be transmitted through sexual contact as well as skin to skin contact. Options include 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1, 3 and 4 only, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next question. Consider the following statement about India's Agni missile series. Agni P is the next generation two-stage solid fuel ballistic missile with a range of 1000 to 2000 km. Agni P can be launched from road and rail mobile platforms, enhancing India's second strike capability. Agni 6 is currently operational with a range of 8000 to 10,000 km and MIRV capability. Agni 1 was India's first missile in this series with a range of 700 to 1000 km. Options are 1, 2 and 4 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 and 3, 2, 3 and 4 only, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next question. Nightmare bacteria are a cause of global concern because they belong to Carbapenem resistant Enterobacteriaceae family, carry the NDM1 gene, making them resistant to last resort antibiotics, are effectively treated by standard Carbapenem antibiotics. Options are only 1, only 2, only 3, all of the above. Next question. Consider the following statements about Mahendragiri Hills in Odisha. Mahendragiri Hills, located in Gajapati district, are part of the Eastern Ghats and were declared a biodiversity heritage site in 2022. The hills are home to tribal communities including Saura and Kond tribes. The Godavari river originates from Mahendragiri Hills. Options are 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Now the last question for the day. Consider the following statements about Pallikarnai marshland. It is a freshwater and partly saline wetland located near Chennai and serves as a buffer for flood-prone areas. The marshland has been designated as a Ramsar site. The Kaveri river originates from Pallikarnai marshland. Options only 1, only 2, all 3, all of the above. Now I want all of you to comment the answer for these 5 questions in the comment box. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed, please hit the like button and subscribe the channel. With this, I am signing off. Take care. Bye bye. Jai Hind.